is the biggest thing that's happened on Stellar since its inception. Stellar has an awesome payments network and a really robust practice with respect to being able to send and receive value very inexpensively, securely. And there are over 15 billion operations on the network. But there wasn't a smart contract platform. So there wasn't this space where developers could come and just sort of build what they wanted to build and how they wanted to build it. And so we really wanted to create that greenfield space for builders to be able to do that. And so we did that. And it's been about 2 weeks that Sorbonne's been live, and it's been pretty awesome to see, not just even beforehand, we had testnet where folks were already building. We had 190 projects building there that are moving over to mainnet. But just to see, even at the inception of since March, since we brought it live, we've seen like really, really important financial building blocks like automated market makers. We've seen lending and borrowing protocols already come. We've seen data access tools like oracles, and then the reverse of that, so indexers that are looking at data on the network. And then, of course, like a really, really important part for us is the tooling, support, and infrastructure, like security audit firms and block explorers. Those are really important to be able to show the robustness of Sorbonne. So it's been really fun to see all these different players, these new players come to Stellar. And it's, we weren't the first, but I certainly think it's the best.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we have Danielle from Stellar. Speaking about the smart contracts, and guys, smart contracts are going to change everything that we do. And traditional finance is going to be picking the winners and losers, integrating all of this technology. And because everybody has access to a phone, now they have access to banking. And that's going to put these small and medium-sized banks out of business, where only a handful of banks are going to be left. Because now we're entering into real-time settlement, freeing up trillions and trillions of dollars of liquidity. And then, guys, we have the Fed. Jim Cramer says, don't hold your breath on rate cuts. Guys, we know rate cuts are definitely coming, but there's going to be a distraction. The Fed wanted to keep rates high for longer. Guys, don't forget, last year in the fourth quarter, Jerome Powell made it seem they were going to be cutting rates ASAP. And as we can clearly see, they haven't. And like I always teach you, follow what they actually do, not what they say. Inflation is going to stay high because of corporate greed. And they can lower prices in each sector tomorrow. Because remember, guys, there's a handful of companies that own everything. It's just an illusion of choice. Remember, we're in a fragmented world. They have to destroy this whole economy in order for the digital economy to rise. But tomorrow, guys, we have CPI numbers coming out, and then the next day, PPI numbers. These numbers are going to be very important because they're still going to come in sticky, guys. We easily can see this in the grocery stores and housing. Everywhere you look, inflation has not eased up. The NWO doesn't want to lower prices. Remember, Janet Yellen said she doesn't see prices coming down. And that's because they want to drain the U.S. consumer. Remember, guys, they want to bring the American people to their knees so the robots, algorithms, and drones can take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
And when you think about TradFi, I think about TradFi as an opportunity for them to be able to use this really amazing technology. So I think about us enhancing and them enhancing. The enhancement goes both ways in terms of using blockchain to enhance what they've built, but also that we get to be able to bring these really wonderful assets to participants that may not have before had access to it. And so that's the promise and the value of blockchain. So I don't think of like TradFi as necessarily competition. I think of them as like a user of this tech stack to be able to make it and to really bring it to market in a fascinating way. In terms of the chains that are out there, certainly I look at Solana as competition for Stellar, but I actually really rejoice in the notion of competition. Stellar is a network where you can always see that there are problems that are being solved by developers all over the world that are real problems, that are challenges that are put forth by local users that they want to be able to solve, and developers can use this global public network to be able to do that. So if you want to actually see where humans are engaging with blockchain in a way that was the original inception of blockchain, which was it was going to make it so that the world was sort of globalless, and that users who didn't actually have bank accounts or credit cards and didn't have access to those everyday financial services, could gain that access through blockchain. Then you got to look on Stellar, because that is where everyday financial services are happening. There are lots of other benefits on other chains, but the truth of the matter is the on and off ramps, all the things that are important and necessary to be able to bring this technology to humans, it's available on Stellar. And that's not the case for other chains. So I think that everybody's got sort of their own thing that they're focused on. We have always been heads down focused on delivering this kind of value, and we're going to continue to do that.
If you're hoping for Fed rate cuts from the Fed, I said maybe don't hold your breath. This economy doesn't need them. Just be glad we aren't getting any more rate hikes.
Are this all the marbles here for this rally tomorrow morning?
Big day. Well, I mean, the rally has already sort of conked out, trying to figure out whether or not it should keep going. I think today, if you look under the surface of what's happening, first of all, we're on day 284 of no 2% correction in the S&P, which is the longest. I did one by one. I tallied them all up. It's the longest we've gone without a 2% correction since 2018. So I say that because we are used to the market going up. We are used to this for now a very extended period of time. So some of these pullbacks feel really alarming, but in reality, since the last high in the S&P, we're only down about 1.2%. This is not a big deal. So when you look at the rally pausing, I think what a lot of investors are still waiting for is that bigger correction. And the narrative continues to be that on a correction or a dip, it should be bought. We haven't really had a good, meaningful dip yet. Tomorrow could be the day that starts a good dip, but that doesn't mean that it has to end everything.
Anything but very hot on the CPI is good. Like we can, in line, obviously, I mean, JP Morgan says in line, the trend stays in place. Stocks grind higher, led by large caps. So largely the story that's been told, very cool. You could have an even bigger move. I don't think that would be a surprise to anybody. It's the very hot scenario that could lead to some weakness. And then you really get some nerves tested as to where we are.
Yeah, well, and just to prepare everybody, the expectations are for headline CPI to be higher this month than it was last month, so there will be some heating up.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go, but clearly we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate. Not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID 33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.